Hi, my name's Taylor Toby. I'm an OpenSciEd teacher and facilitator, and I'm here to discuss with you Lesson 14 of the 8.4 unit, Earth and Space. What I really enjoy about this lesson is the simulation in which students get to change a bunch of different factors and see how gravity is affected and what happens to the orbits of the two objects in space. So, how did we get here? Well, in the previous lesson, we figured out that the objects in our solar system have a pattern, that the planets that are closer to the sun are rocky and smaller, and those further away are larger and gaseous. There are patterns in orbits, and smaller objects tend to orbit larger ones, and most of the objects orbiting our sun are all in the same plane. So, let's break down lesson 14. It is an investigation lesson. It's 2 days in length, about 15 minutes of prep time. It is a hands-on investigation, and because it's a simulation, it will require devices. It works best if you have one-to-one or enough devices for each small group of students to work with. There is an additional video that introduces you on how to use the simulation. On the first day of this lesson, students figure out that gravity plays an important role in how objects move in space. We figure out that gravity is an attractive force that's pulling two objects towards each other. On the second day, students figure out that the strength of the gravity on the object and its speed affect its orbit, and that mass and distance both affect the strength of gravity on the objects. What do we figure out in more detail? Gravity is an attractive force between all matter. More massive objects have a stronger gravitational force, and closer objects have a stronger gravitational force. And that more circular orbits occur when there's the right combination of gravity and speed of the objects that are orbiting. Now, students that have experienced 8.3 may start to make connections between those other distance forces like electricity and magnetism. That is not required for this lesson, though. Students also don't need to explain gravity's role in the formation of the universe. That will come later. Some key moments in lesson 14. Part 9. This is where students are using the simulation. I recommend projecting it so that when you're having the conversation, students can tell you what they entered in the simulation. It gives better evidence, and then students can chime in how they either changed it or that they agree and they saw the same thing. And then as you're having this conversation to build understanding through the simulation, use the language that the students are using for naming and describing objects and motions. We can get further on adding in some of the more scientific vocab later. We want to make sure that they understand the concepts of what's affecting gravity and then the shape of the orbits in their own words first. Where do we go from here? So we've noticed that our models that we've explored show repeating patterns, and that studying this system over this shortened time scale where we could speed up the orbits really quickly and see what's happening over a shortened time frame really helped us visualize things that we couldn't necessarily notice on a regular time scale, especially since it takes an entire year for the Earth to go around the sun. Being able to see those orbits in a much quicker pattern makes it easier for us to know what's going on within the class period. So we start wondering about more of the structure and the motion of our solar system over much longer time scales. Material management tips and tricks. So we do earn the word gravitational force or gravity, and that's an attractive pull between two objects. Poster management, you will be creating one poster with this lesson where it is the factors that affect orbit. Thank you so much for joining me in lesson 14. I hope your students are really invested and engaged in conversations around this simulation. And I look forward to seeing you in lesson 15.